listening to You've Got 5 Options show,
where every week Marta and Anna abandon their 5 children, 2 partners and 1 cat to make a show especially for you.
An artist, a challenge, a bullshit, a wisdom, and a surprise. Tune in and feel the magic of 5.
Hello everyone, this is Marta.
And this is Anna.
And this is You've Got 5 Options show.
Yes, and this was our new intro, or at least the musical part of it, because the lyrics are still the same and we are working on it. Are we working on it to change the lyrics?
It depends how, planning on it, yes, executing, no.
Yeah, we were having that discussion in our previous episodes, planning versus execution. But the new intro is quite cool. It's a spin, it's a remix of an old intro with a lot of instruments and some sort of So I like it a lot. It's just, I think it would be nice if we would also record a new voiceover.
I think so too. There didn't seem to be a perfect sync between the two.
Yeah, I think so too. Plus, we also have, as you know, guys, new season. And we are not only having the variety shows with bullshit, wisdom, challenge, left field, and artist, but we also have different types of episodes, including challenge series, right?
Yes, and very much so today.
Exactly. And our intro somehow does not reflect that change yet. Yet, guys, yet.
I'm sure one day it will, probably right before we enter to season 6 and need to change it again.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think maybe we can actually record it today.
I'm not sure because straight from here I'm going to Copenhagen.
What are you going to do there?
I'm going to enjoy.
Okay, that's very mysterious. I hope it's something really nice and kinky.
Well, I don't know if it's kinky, but it's very nice. We are making a home exchange.
Ah, yeah.
And we are going there for leisure in the beautiful weather of February in Denmark. We are going to be sightseeing Copenhagen. And also on Monday, we will go to get a new passport for one of the kids.
That sounds like a lot of fun, Marta.
Leisure and business.
Yeah, especially the passport. Part of it, I think it will be amazing. Although the embassies are in a really nice neighborhood next to the seaside, that is amazing in February. I think a lot of wonderful storms and winds and rains and...
Yeah, we do have a challenge. I should have sent this challenge because my husband, he needs his passport for 2 different embassies on Monday. And there is a timing issue. He needs his passport in the embassy at 12:45 in Polish embassy, and he needs to have it delivered by 12:30 to the Irish embassy. Exactly. That poses a challenge, and we don't know how to solve it yet. You remember this time when your ex-husband came to Polish embassy without his passport?
Yeah.
And you did not manage to get a passport for your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that one time.
That's something that we are standing in front of.
No, that didn't influence our divorce at all. No, it actually didn't, but it was horrible. Yeah, okay, Marta. So straight after recording this today's episodes, we are going to Copenhagen to enjoy, and that is awesome. But before you do that, you actually will solve a challenge of another person.
I'm not sure if I will solve a challenge of another person.
Your attempt.
But I will share how I solved that kind of challenge for myself, because what I realized is that I have actually gone through that myself. And what I've learned from it, and a little bit of knowledge, wisdom, common experiences from many people who are in this situation. And hopefully we can at least bring some perspective and at least some inspiration to Vega.
Yes, and I think Vega was the name that the person called him or herself by when we received this challenge via our website, and it is fully anonymous, people. So if you have any problems, please go to the5options.com, where you can submit your challenge anonymously without even giving your email address, because sometimes your email address will reveal that you are annanieścieruk2@gmail.com. So you don't even have to do that, and then you can send it to us in full confidence. But I can see that you are, Marta, prepared because you are holding in your hand a Xenophob's Guide to the Danes, and we also have a Dane here as an aide. Dennis, hello.
Hello.
So I can see that this is quite a challenge, I guess.
I'm prepared.
You're prepared. Awesome.
So should we go for like a jingle or something?
Let's go for a jingle or something.
Yeah, the challenge.
A very challenging challenge of the week.
And if anyone is watching us on TV at this moment, you also see that we do have a challenge, as we used to do it this way, that if I was solving a challenge, Anna was reading it, and when Anna was solving a challenge, I was reading it, and I just asked Anna, are you reading the challenge? And Anna slightly panicked because she could not find the challenge description.
Yeah.
So we started to like move around and stuff, but now she stole my computer, so all good.
I will give it back to you. I would like to just tell one more time to everyone that we are clearly radio people. And of course, you would not see the panic in my eyes, my weird movements, and then finally stealing Marta's computer. But if you are watching us, then you could see all of that, for which we are deeply sorry. I am still not really sometimes aware or adjusted to the fact that we are on TV. And we got no training, which I believe it's quite obvious, yes. And the ironic thing is that more and more people come forward and tell us that they have seen us on TV, and that is not a good sign.
No.
No.
I'm definitely a radio person.
I am definitely, yeah, we have radio faces, radio voices, radio studio behavior. So yeah, but if you look for some very unusual and weird TV program, then we are here for you to provide you weekly entertainment.
Yes. Okay, let's go to the very challenging challenge.
Yes, so as I mentioned, it is anonymous. The person called him or herself Viga, so we don't even know if it's a girl or a boy or a man or a woman, or maybe someone who doesn't know what his or her gender is. Very complicated these days. We only have this challenge, and I hope that you are listening to us, Viga. So the challenge goes as follows. Hi, my challenge is that I am an international and I find this society quite hostile towards foreign people, as if they were afraid of us only because they don't know any different than their home culture. Most often that's the case. They are beaming with silent racism often. They will not insult you, but I don't see that they treat you equal. See that on the job market. See in personal life. Close to zero to get a Danish friend. Can't stand this situation, yet I'm not planning to leave DK yet. One day I will for sure, but how to make my life more pleasant till that one day? Thanks. So, of course, it was mentioned later DK. So this is a challenge from person who is from Denmark. Because, of course, we are accepting challenge from all over the world. So if you are in US, the country that listens to our podcast the most, just hit your challenge as well. But this one comes from Denmark. And it's, I think I understand now why, Marta, you brought the Xenophob's Guide to the Danes. And I also guess I understand why you mentioned that you were attempting to solve this challenge, because it's quite difficult and potentially emotionally loaded.
Exactly. So my first reaction was like, oh my God, I don't know how to solve this challenge. Mm-hmm. And that it's very tricky, because on one hand, person feels has very strong feelings of, hostile. He or she calls it silent racism. And yet at the same time, the person is not planning to leave Denmark. So that's already a given, because one option could be leave Denmark.
Yeah, of course, that's an
if
obvious
you
one.
don't feel so good here, right?
Yeah.
But we know already that that's not the option for now. Because
For later, yes, but not for now.
Because Viga has kind of made it clear that that's not an option for now. And also, we have had that topic in our podcasts previously. We've had Anatoly, who brought very nice, interesting, well-balanced perspectives on Denmark being an extreme culture. Yes. And we've had that before when we were talking about integration. Someone sent us a challenge wanting to have children in Denmark and wondering how to integrate and how to raise kids here in Denmark. And we had also a program. We touched upon it. We had a live once about Denmark as well. So we've had that a few times. So I was first really seriously considering, are we going to go for that challenge, or will we just look into what we have already solved and then, send some extract out of it back to the person?
The problem is that we cannot even send it back because we didn't receive the email address, which I guess we can understand, taking in consideration the nature of the challenge. So we could pretty much just make an announcement here on the podcast, but Marta, you decided to go for it.
Yes. Well, I decided one of the big reasons was that we cannot get in contact directly with that person. So I was like, okay, someone has sent us this challenge. And even though we were touching upon the topic, I did still find some things that I thought could be potentially helpful in making Viga's life more pleasant until that one day comes. So, dear Viga, I will be very honest with you and all the other listeners too. It's not like anyone else shouldn't listen to what I'm going to say right now. Everyone can hear that. I was in that situation many years ago. When I came to Denmark for the first time around 16 years ago as a student, that's how I felt in Denmark. That's the way I perceived. I felt like I want to finish my studies and I want to go back home as soon as possible. I found it very, very difficult to adapt. Still, I had the time of my life. I had the best time ever in this international environment with other Erasmus Socrates students. I had an amazing time. Yet when it comes to integration with Denmark, I didn't go far at all. At all. I don't believe I made even one Danish friend the first time I came to Denmark, and I was here for 1.5 years. Yet, even though I felt this way, not only did I come back to Denmark a few years later, and I also choose to be staying here for the last 11 years. So I came to a conclusion that I must have some knowledge about how to make it work here. So that's something that I thought that I can bring. So I have prepared 5 options, tips for you, Vega. So option number 1 is make your why you are here very clear to yourself. Number 2, make an effort to understand Danes and the Danish culture. Number 3, find the things you like about Denmark and are grateful for. Number 4, influence what you can and embrace the rest. And 5, make it as pleasant as you possibly can. So that's the 5 tips that I have come up with. And now we are going to start with the first one. Make why you are here very clear for yourself. I, in general, think that we humans have a really great chance to function better when we have a clear purpose. When we know the reason why we are doing what we are doing and the purpose of it all, it often makes it much easier for us. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I definitely believe so. I think we also had the why and the purpose motive in many of our podcasts, and I think one of the things that human beings don't cope with very well is uncertainty, which creates not only confusion but also fear and a feeling of hopelessness. So basically, we can read from this that this person feels almost trapped here because he or she wants to leave, doesn't want to be here, but has to be here. And if we don't really have a clear why, then we might basically just go on this autopilot. I'm trapped here. I'm here against my will. Well, you made a decision. There are reasons. Maybe it's good to remind yourself of them.
Yeah, because that's what I found that has helped me the first time when I was here. I had a very clear reason. I was here to finish my bachelor's degree. So I had this reason very clear. I knew that that's the reason why I'm here. My purpose is to get my education, and then I'm going to leave. It was very clear to me. I knew it was a definite amount of time. And even though I did feel quite homesick when I was here for the first time, I was missing home, I was missing my friends. And even though I was having a lot of time, it was still tough. But that helped me a lot. It was very clear definition for me of why I was in Denmark, and that helped a lot. So the first question I would encourage you to ask yourself, Vega, is, why am I really here? And just answer that question for yourself. And if you make a very good, nice statement for yourself, it can really influence how you feel and how you go about being here. So other questions that can help you is, why did you come to Denmark in the first place? Why do you keep on staying? Because it can also differ depending how long you are here. You could have come for one reason, you could be staying for another reason. But ask yourself these questions. Why am I here? Why did I come here in the first place? And why do I keep on staying? And I would really make that statement very clear for myself. I would put it on a piece of paper, stick it on a wall, keep it together with me, and really use it as a guiding star in functioning here in Denmark. So, of course, I have some internationals in the room. So I would like to ask you, Anna, why are you here in Denmark?
Jesus Christ. Like, really, Marta? That's how we are doing this now?
Yes.
I will repay you today, my dear, when we will be recording the second show. Well, actually, I have to say that I'm like an accidental resident because I don't really have never really had much of a plan regarding staying in Denmark. I came here as an exchange student. And my exchange is still ongoing after all these years, which will be, I think, around 14 years now. And I would say it was kind of circumstantial because first I was on a bachelor. We were offered to make the whole full degree. Then I met my former husband. Now he's former, before he wasn't. Then we got a baby. Then I started master. Then, I found a job. So I would say it was just circumstances. However, and I always had this, like a mindset, I'm here like on bags, living on my luggage. Like, I'm not here staying for long, I'm ready to move. But then something very interesting happened. I actually like this country. I know it's hard to realize that because I had a fair share of complaining about Denmark, and I definitely did not had anything about the racism or stuff. Although there are moments in my life when I felt slightly either discriminated or looked upon differently because I'm from Poland, especially that I don't speak Danish. That is one of the things that really turns red lights for everyone, like, how can you not speak Danish, and so on. That's another story. And trust me, I have my share feeling of guilt in this one as well, even if I shouldn't. But I actually like this country. I didn't like the weather. Obviously, I had problems with adjusting to the Danish culture because it's so different than Polish culture. But now I'm not really such a big fan of Polish culture anymore. I'm not a big fan of Danish culture neither, but I'm very open. I'm very grateful for everything I'm having here. I'm not planning to stay in Denmark for the rest of my life, but I guess I transitioned on that side when I'm happy for just being here, and I'm grateful. And although this is not my favorite country in the world, but don't get too excited, I don't know what is my favorite country in the world. I just have a feeling that maybe there is something better out there, and I do definitely believe I belong to some warmer country. I am actually quite happy. So currently I am here because I like to be here. I know, it's weird.
It's a nice realization.
Yeah. I like Denmark. I like you, and I like Danes, even the silent racism beaming Danes, because there are things about Danes that are peculiar. But on the other hand, there are things about every nationality that are peculiar, and there are things that are obviously upsetting me about Danes. But there are things that are upsetting me about Poles and Americans, and we could continue to find all the bad things in every single nation and every single country. But the truth is, we all have some downfalls. I decided lately to look at the brighter side, and I think being with Dave, who is the father of my child, as you might know, helped me, because he is one of those very few people who managed to make a lot of Danish friends. So through him, I met a lot of Danish people, and they are really cool. Still a bit odd sometimes. Don't get too excited. They can be a bit odd and peculiar, but I think that helped a lot to realize that Danes are actually cool.
Well, we will definitely have the point where we are digging more into what we like about Denmark. And
now I'm thinking, what's in my coffee?
Well, you were making your coffee by yourself. Well, I helped a little.
I think,
but you do have boobs on the...
I have a boobs on my mug, not on my... Yeah, I also have boobs on myself, but I have a weird mug, and I don't know, maybe they are sprinkling some shit in coffee beans here, so we are more positive about this stuff. But yeah, I don't know how... But yeah, I'm maybe in a happy day, you know. Tomorrow is my birthday, so I'm always very happy because of that. Of course,
that's a very good reason to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the summary of this part, I would like to tell you that I do believe in purposes. Mm-hmm. I do believe in looking for the reasons why we are doing what we are doing. Mm-hmm. And I really like Simon Sinek's approach of find your why, where he refers to countries as organizations. We have explained it before in some of our podcasts, but I really love this approach because in general, I remember when I felt really crappy at some point in Denmark, and I was talking to my husband and I told him, I think I want to leave. I feel really crappy. Why don't we just leave from here? And then he told me, you know, ultimately the purpose is to feel good no matter where you are.
Correct.
And I just liked it so much. It just opened to a completely new perspective to me. I was like, wow. And also because in Denmark, there are so many good things. And still at the same time, I really think that it's easier to feel good in a country where that country is aligned with our personal purpose. Mm-hmm. And that's what Mr. Sinek proposes. Mm-hmm. So that you find out what's your personal purpose, and then you find out what's the purpose of the country. And if these two aligns, it just makes it easier to feel good where you are. So that was like a small summary of that. Mm-hmm. Because it could be that your purpose and purpose of Denmark are very different and therefore you're feeling so bad here, Viga. But it could be an interesting perspective to look into. And now we are moving on to option number 2. Make an effort to understand Danes and the Danish culture. And that's what I brought here today. Those of you who are watching, you can see that I have the Xenophobes guide to the Danes, because that was one of the things that has helped me to understand a lot of things when I moved here to Denmark. Because when you come to a new country that you have not been before and you want to live in a country, there will be challenges. No matter what, it's to adapt, to integrate in a new country, it is a challenge. So this series, the Xenophobes Guides, I love this series. I have also Xenophobes Guides to the Poles. I find it so amusing. And it's written in this humoristic way, but still explains quite a lot of things about Danes and
That's
Denmark.
a very good disclaimer. It's not like there is a guide like this about Denmark and only Denmark. This is actually a series of Xenophobes guides to, I think they at least have 25, 30 different nationalities. Poles, it's hilarious. There is a German. I saw quite a lot of them. And, I think that's the best way to understand some quite bizarre and weird angles of a culture with a humor.
Yeah, I really recommend this little book. I find it very interesting. I, of course, want to also recommend the 3 articles that Anatoly, our previous guest, has written about Denmark. I find them very informative and written in a nice, balanced way, explaining a lot of things about Danes, Denmark, and the Danish culture. So that's my proposal. Very often when we feel misunderstood by someone, it is also because we are not understanding that person. And it's kind of a little bit like, chicken and the egg kind of thing. Like, probably the more you will understand Denmark, Danes, and the Danish culture, the more open and the more positive approach you will have, and the more of that you will be beaming yourself, the easier it will be to find the Danes that are beaming the openness to foreigners as well. So it's kind of, I'm sure that you've experienced some instances where you did feel some sort of hostility, on some sort of racism or whatever you call it. That's probably what has already happened to you. Yet still you have that possibility to get to know why that might be. What could be the reason behind some of those behaviors? And when we understand something, we can open to it, we can do something about it. And that's why I propose this understanding better. And I will read just a little piece of the Xenophobes Guides to the Danes, which describes the character, just for you to maybe open up to some things. Today's Danes are a peaceable people. The only helmeted warriors left are bikers. When the Danish Vikings colonized the British Isles, they must have taken with them all the most unruly elements. Ever since, the British have behaved like Vikings, while the Danes have constructed a modern, liberal welfare state where everyone is cared for and their football fans are generally models of propriety. Denmark is a land of modesty and moderation. This is largely a consequence of the Danes' sense of social responsibility. The touchstone of any activity or point of view is whether it is samfundsrelevant, that is socially useful. So I just wanted to read this little piece of the book, just to encourage you that is nicely written in this humoristic spirit, yes, yet bringing some truth. Anna, do you have any tip here on what has helped you to get to know Denmark and Danes and the Danish culture better?
David Andres Villanueva Soto, a Chilean guy who broke the barriers and made Danish friends. No, really, that was the turning point for me. I think also throughout the last, 2 years, I managed to meet some Danish people. One of them is Dennis, who is sitting in front of me, looking at me with that wise gaze and his beard, like Danish. Danish, it's Dennis and Dane. Dennis, our technician. Hello, Dennis.
Hello.
You are a Dane.
That is true.
And you turned out to be cool.
Why, thank you.
Actually quite cool, and we like you a lot. And I'm not sure if we can call it friendship yet, although we have, like connected on Facebook. That's a big milestone, and we see each other regularly, mostly because you have no choice.